bring this up and let's talk about this. And maybe we'll go off on a tangent from that. So Park Place exclusive. Nintendo Cinematic Universe may be falling apart behind the scenes.
Ooh.
All right, let's read this. Once viewed as the greatest potential threat to Disney's animation empire, the nascent Nintendo Cinematic Universe is looking to already be off the rails for reasons that are not all too surprising. It's time for an exclusive look at why and how Universal's big plans are falling apart in a big way. Now, remember, this is Nintendo, Universal, and Illumination, who were the ones behind making the Mario movie. Before we keep going forward, now when all this started, what would to you guys be the simplest path to victory for a Nintendo Cinematic Universe? What do you think?
Probably Smash Brothers.
As an end goal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing. It would be like their Avengers going Smash Bros. I think they just stay in the course, just stay true to the characters. That's what they did with Mario, and look how successful it was. But especially since we're at the end of the DEI kind of craze that we've seen, or total mental collapse. You think that they would be like, okay, now it's safe. We're gonna just continue what we did with Mario and be successful. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that's where it's coming from.
I mean, I can't be now. Got to remember, I am an old Nintendo guy. We're talking. I tapped out at the N64, came back for GameCube a little bit, came back for the Wii a little bit, and obviously I've got a Switch behind me. But I am not a hardcore Nintendo drone, to use the term. I don't just buy into it, but I appreciate Nintendo's existence and I appreciate what they do well. That being said, I never was into Smash Bros. So I require a perspective like you guys presented, that Smash Bros being an ultimate objective, which makes sense. I can understand it makes sense, and I accept that. To me, the path to victory would have been, you had started Mario. Go right to Mario 2. Make a sequel. Make a solid sequel. Base it on sort of following, in my opinion, sort of the original video game ideas, like bring in the Koopa Kids from Mario Brothers 3 to bust out Bowser. That would have been brilliant. You could introduce the Koopa Kids. Would have been fun. Would have been great. And, let's not have Donkey Kong, because F Seth Rogen. F him. Get him out of there. Then, Zelda. Not the live action nonsense that Dermy keeps insisting will be fine. No. Animated Zelda. Now, we've had conversations.
It's got a huge fan base. I see that.
Yeah. And now there's a debate to be had. Where do you start? Do you start at Skyward Sword? Do you start at Ocarina of Time?
And no, you start with the original.
Here's what I'm saying. If you start with the original, but then I would say I would want to start with Link to the Past, but Link to the Past is part of the Ocarina of Time fail thing. There's a whole lot of problems with the Zelda timeline. There's a whole discussion we had on where do you start. We've had those discussions, but we're gonna shelve that for now. Zelda would have been the next most marketable franchise, because every Zelda game is a success. So you have a built-in fan base frothing at the mouth. After that, it's not a giant success, but I think it would work. Metroid. Make a Metroid movie. Samus Aran fighting aliens. Can't go wrong.
I think that one's going to be a harder sell, actually.
If you're 3 movies in to the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, you might be able to sell it. If you're 3 movies in,
maybe.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, at that point, you're going to want like early Marvel-esque stingers, like when Nick Fury shows up at the end of the first Iron Man kind of shit, because otherwise there's nothing cohesive to bring them all together.
Yeah. I mean, you need to start doing stuff that promotes the universe, like Fredo's saying here. You have to do stingers, and that's going to do it. Metroid and other popular things. Star Fox would, I think, also be a winner too, although I don't know how much one. But Metroid is the 4th movie would have worked, I think, because everybody's invested now. So, but that to me, that was a roadmap for success. You stick to the basics. That would have been my roadmap for success. Stick to your major points, about 5 or 6 movies, of major IPs that Nintendo owns and then go to Smash Bros. Would have worked.
Well, they could even just throw a couple of the smaller franchises in there as just you know,
in the Smash Bros.
Sprinkle them in like
Pokemon. You could throw Pokemon easily into a Smash Bros. No
well,
problem. You could
they
throw
already
Kirby in there.
They already have. They're doing the second to Detective Pikachu, so they already, and that's a they could just kind of piggyback off that and have that build into it.
You're right. You don't need full movies for some of the smaller franchises. Because listen, I don't think anybody's going to sit through a Kirby movie, but everybody would like to see Kirby in a Smash Bros. Movie. They'd be okay with that. It would work. Point is, that's the road back to victory. So let's see what this report now says here. An insider who has reached out in the past with exclusive and specific information that has proven to be true is back in touch with us this week regarding the NCU. As the Super Mario Brothers movie was taking off even pre-release, we're told that Universal was feeling very positive about the ongoing relationship with Nintendo that could create their own Marvel-style animated empire, guaranteed to be lucrative for a decade or more because you would be feeding it to kids. Though Nintendo's leadership had been difficult to work with in the past for Hollywood executives, and rightfully so, after prior Nintendo movies have been so odd, Universal and Illumination discovered that working with the Japanese gaming giant could be a breeze if America Megacorps played the rules Nintendo wanted in place. Basically, character brand integrity came before anything else, and wholesome Universal storytelling was required every step of the way. That feeds into what we were talking about. Stick to your meat and potatoes. Don't be putting no weird shit on my plate. None of the frou-frou fancy tofu crap. Just hamburger, french fries, side of onion rings.
Luigi doesn't have to be struggling with his gender identity.
Yeah. And Mario doesn't need to be pegged by Peach. All right. For Nintendo, we're told that the relationship with Illumination is bringing Mario to life on the silver screen was seen as more of a side project, whereas Hollywood might covet the Nintendo characters in a way that almost no other brand can compare. Nintendo was largely the same with or without the hit movie. The revenue for Nintendo video games dwarf anything they might see out of theatrical releases. True. Video games are immensely more profitable than movies. Immensely more profitable when they're hits. Especially Nintendo, which keeps their budgets pretty low. And it's all done, a lot of it's done in-house. So they're weird. They're, like I always said, like when we describe the different corporations, Nintendo's the dude in the corner doing weird shit, and you see him, but if you leave him alone, he's gonna do something really cool eventually. So you just let him be in his corner doing his weird shit. Despite the tremendous success of Mario Brothers movie, it now seems that Universal's plans for the NCU have run into an immovable obstacle. Though Illumination could have offered Nintendo an opportunity for a new theatrical release every single year, our source claims that Nintendo leadership have stalled on greenlighting any projects other than Super Mario Brothers movie sequel and a Metroid movie that is tenuous and would need script approval. The live-action Legend of Zelda movie has been approved under a separate deal with Sony, which may have further soured efforts by Universal to partner with Nintendo for a long-term movie relationship. And there is the biggest problem. Live-action Zelda is... I don't care how much Dermy whines. This movie is not a guaranteed success and could go all kinds of wrong.
Well, of course Dermy was going to be psyched about a movie about a twink running around with no pants on.
I think I made a meme to that effect last year somewhere. I don't remember what I did with it.
Yeah, we don't need Tom Holland Link.
Or Twink.
Point is, we had this debate a lot. I don't think this was a good decision. Not because it broke from the momentum of the animation. Execs Universal were reportedly very displeased that they were negotiating an animated Zelda film to little avail, while Shigeru Miyamoto quietly sought after a script and dealt with the Japanese company Sony for a live-action competitor. And there it is, because that's the dude who made Zelda. Still, beyond missteps, the heart of the delayed interest could be the worry could be the worry by Nintendo that going forward with the Nintendo Cinematic Universe would entangle them in a business that they're ultimately not fully controlling. Hollywood needs Nintendo far more than Nintendo needs Hollywood. And that is true. As Kratos just said, I'd rather have it stop than not happen at all then. If Nintendo's not going to be committed to it and committed to making a quality product, then just don't do it. Then don't do it. Don't bother at all. Just keep making the games.
Because the fact is, unless they're willing to sit there and hold Sony's hand the whole time and really make sure that they stick to the contracts and not ruin their characters. If their heart's not in it, they're gonna be like, okay, we trust you guys, and they're gonna go back to playing with their original toys, and that's when you have these movies go off the rails and become shit.
Yeah. Yep.
The only way they're gonna stay good and consistent is if Nintendo's seen there going, no, you're not going to do that with our character. You're not going to do that with our character. You're going to stick to the story because that's the story we've, like I said, and we know they would.
I don't see Nintendo doing that though. I mean, aside from handhelds, they haven't put out a quality fucking gaming system since the GameCube. I'm sorry. They're not that invested in quality at this point. What they're invested in is money. They know they have a built-in fan base. They know that because they target a wider demographic age-wise, they're not hurting at all, and they're not going to be hurting. Even if these movies do bad, right? They're not going to hurt the brand so much that Nintendo's games are going to go out of business.
It wouldn't hurt the brand at all.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, but
so I don't think they care so much as, they're just like, yeah, here, go ahead, use our characters, make a bunch of money, and then give all that money to us. That's all they care about. They're not going to give a shit about anything else.
No, they're very protective of their licenses and what people do with them. They're not going to let Sony, like I said, trans freaking Luigi. They're just not. They're going to control that and say, no, that's not the character you wanted to rent.
No, it needs to be Waluigi.
The problem you're gonna have is when they do these cinematic universes, you have multiple movies, and that takes a shit ton of time and a shit ton of effort, which means they would have to have a participation in a lot of pies and a lot of work to it. Could they sustain that? The Sony's fine with it. That's their thing. Doing movies, that's what they're there for. With Nintendo, this would be a side project to the gaming, and so will they sit there and watch over everything being done, saying, no, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that, this is not the story that Mario has. Are they going to put in that effort, or at some point are they going to be like, we're putting all this money into it and it's taking time and we're just not that interested? And like I said, then the laxness comes in, and that's when you have a thing like any studio would, where they take it over and end up effing the damn freaking franchise. Which
is why when it comes to the Sony project with the Zelda live action, I question a lot of stuff. But that's with Universal Illumination, it was a different thing. They were hands-on. We know they were hands-on with the Mario movie, as it just told us.
Yeah.
But Sony's a different deal, and we'll see how that goes. And I don't have a lot of faith and trust in that. But with Universal, Universal is forced to take a much more cautious approach with the company that created Donkey Kong. But when you hold all the cards the way Nintendo does, they can do or not do whatever they want. For now, their focus appears to be more on theme park experiences they can better control with less effort. Unfortunately, that may mean an Avengers-style Super Smash Bros. Movie may never happen. So there it is. It's not so much a problem that they can't. So what we laid out, it's not a problem of they're not willing to go the correct route. It's the fact that what it seems that Nintendo doesn't give a shit. They're basically being Nintendo. They're ignoring the rest of the world and just sitting in their corner doing their thing. And they don't care if they get caught touching themselves or scratching their ass or picking their nose. They don't care. Because they know, like you said a minute ago, they put out a Pokemon game, millions sold. Millions upon millions. Doesn't matter if people were angry with the last one. They're still going to go buy the next Pokemon game. They will buy Pokemon games. They will buy the next Mario game. They'll buy it in a second.
Oh yeah.
Next Zelda game. The next. Now Metroid doesn't sell well. We know that there are numbers to that. Metroid doesn't sell well, but the hardcore Metroid fans always buy it. Nintendo will have its wins. It'll make its money for very low overhead. That's the thing. A Switch game, low overhead. And listen, in about 6-7 months, Nintendo's for a moment will be king of the field when they announce Switch 2. Or I'm in the camp of Super Switch. I'm in the camp of Super Switch. I think it's a better name.
Well, look at you're right about the Pokemon thing, man. Look at that, the last game where they literally said we're like taking away half the Pokemon or something like that, and it's still sold. People still bought it, even though they essentially said they're gonna take away half the Pokemon you love. Yeah, there's nothing they could do to get those fans to like fully abandon that.
Yep.
Oh, this is the same franchise. Didn't they fuck up everybody's character models too?
That was Pokemon Go.
Pokemon
Go.
Pokemon
Go.
Yeah. But it's still in that franchise, and people still play the fucking thing, no matter how pissed off they get at it.
We listened to Cloud bitch about it for a month, but he's still out there playing Pokemon Go. We just talked about it the other day.
Yeah.
Nintendo knows its audience, and it knows what pays the bills, and it's the games. So the assessment that WDW Pro gives here in this article is pretty spot on. Nintendo doesn't need Hollywood. They make more money in half a year than Hollywood makes all year. And they don't need to play the Hollywood game because they know it's not worth their time. It makes them look good if they have a success like Mario, but in the end, it's not really gonna elevate or decrease their stature. It's just an additional thing.
It would be one thing if they said, "Oh, doing these movies will up sales." No, they own their part of the market. They've been consistent with that. That's why they don't try to compete with PlayStation. That's why they don't try to compete with Xbox. They go, "We don't need to. We have our space. You guys do your thing. We're good." Yeah. So I don't think having these movies all of a sudden, is going to bring in thousands or millions of gamers that weren't already on the Switch. No.
Perfect point. It's not going to increase their market share of the video game industry. It might generate a few extra sales. People might be motivated to maybe go out and get a few extra games of a game that's already been out. But a Mario movie is not going to affect the first Mario game on the next Switch. It's not going to affect the next Zelda game. It's not going to affect the next Pokemon game. None of this affects any of that because they have their customer base locked in. They're not going to lose them. So there it is. I think it's a pretty good assessment here. It would have been great if they'd done it, but let me ask you this as we close on this conversation. Are you sad there won't be an NCU?
No, not really.
I mean, there was games I think would make good movies and I'd be interested in, but nothing that I'm like, oh fuck, I can't believe they're not going to do it now. Yep. It's just okay, whatever.
I'm there with you. It would have been cool if the fun of the Mario movie with maybe upping the ante, taking a little more time, it would have been fun. But you know what? My life is not diminished and it's not going to be missing anything if an NCU does not fully materialize. I'm fine. I mean, we're probably going to get one more Mario movie. That's going to happen. I think they're already, in fact, doing it. But other than that, I'm good. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.